February can make or break a presidential campaign.
Thank you, New Hampshire, thank you.
A win in Iowa or New Hampshire can propel a candidate to the presidency, while a disappointment,
we're going to California and Texas and New York,
can create a different kind of history. But why do two teeny tiny electorates that frankly aren't representative at all of our nation's diversity play such enormous roles in selecting presidential nominees? The truth is, there's not a very good reason. Unlike some American traditions, which date back to the horse and buggy days, this one does not. Nobody paid much attention at all to New Hampshire's early primary until 1952, the early days of TV's golden era, when General Dwight Eisenhower turned a surprise win there into the Republican nomination. 23 years later, the state codified its first-in-the-nation status into law, ensuring the Granite State would always vote 1 week before any other primary. Nobody paid much attention to Iowa back then either, because they don't even hold a primary. They hold caucuses, which, on the Democratic side, are public votes, kind of like a reality show. Small groups get together in little towns, cast candidates off the island one at a time. But in 1976, Jimmy Carter, a farmer from Georgia, bet big on this farm-friendly state. He won, and never looked back.
Thank you, everybody.
So 1 year later, still feeling that high, Iowa passed its own law too, mandating a first-in-the-nation selection. New Hampshire, still getting to claim the first primary, went along with it. And for the better part of the last 50 years, these two states that together represent just 1% of America and virtually none of its diversity have maintained an oversized role in choosing our nation's president. But it's not just racial diversity where Iowa and New Hampshire are out of line with the rest of the country. They have significantly lower unemployment rates than the national average, lower poverty rates, and even lower religious participation. So why does the rest of the country go along with it? Maybe it's because Democratic and Republican Party leaders like the face-to-face politicking required of candidates there. Or maybe it's because they like the demographics getting all the power. Whatever it is, they fought hard to penalize states that try to break the primary and caucus cartel. In 2012, Florida moved its primary into January, prompting Iowa and New Hampshire to pull back almost to the start of the year. In response, the Republican Party penalized the Sunshine State, cutting their number of delegates in half, and at the convention, which was held there in Florida, the party took away the state's prime seating and guest passes. The horror. Needless to say, Florida learned its lesson and moved its primary back to March after that. So as long as party leaders continue the tradition, our elections will continue to rely on just 3 million older, mostly white voters to do the first real winnowing of the presidential primary fields. That's a good thing if you're hoping for fewer candidates by the time it's your chance to vote, but not so good if it's your choice candidate who can't make it out of the first two states.